Hey, how's it going, guys? It's Paul with Spheric Reptiles, and I thank you so much for tuning in today to watch this video on like my thoughts for breeding ball pythons for 2024. The reason why I say that is because there's a huge difference in 2024 versus 2020, 2021, and definitely 2022. And you know what brought this video about was, well, for one, I always look at numbers. I look at numbers so much to where, because they just don't lie. Numbers do not lie. So I would rather trust the numbers than to trust anything else. So, you know, I was watching a vlog today on YouTube during my lunch, and there was a particular breeder on there that was really talking about a reptile show that he went to, and he just said there were just so many ball pythons. I mean, there were just so many. I mean, the way that he made it seem was that there were so many fucking ball pythons that no one could really see anything else. You had to kind of climb your way through the ball pythons. And that just made me think, you know, what did the ball python do to the other reptiles? Well, for me personally, someone who loves all reptiles, even though I have ball pythons now, they don't do anything else to someone that's going in looking for an agama, or anyone that's going in to look for a veiled chameleon, or someone that's going to look for, you know, a black monitor, I mean, or a green tree monitor, or a green python. So for those people that are looking for those, or a sulcata, they're not doing anything because they're singularly focused on what they're going to look for. Could be a Pac-Man frog. I used to like those too. But you know, just the negative connotation that's around ball pythons has something, I mean, it's somewhat justified, right? There are a lot of ball pythons out there. In fact, on Morph Market, as of today, there are 43,365 ball pythons sold in the US market today on Morph Market. But then if we look at the world, including the US, there is only 60,629 ball pythons, which makes the US market encompass 71% of the total market. Now, we all know that ball pythons make up the lion's share of the reptile industry. So my thoughts are, before I get into the actual numbers and what I think you could do to alleviate this, is the ball pythons are the whole reason why we're having these reptile shows, these big money producing reptile shows. So, and I mean, and I hate to use money as a driver, but money is a driver. And if we don't acknowledge the fact that money is a driver, then we're turning a blind eye, because the other species depend on the ball pythons to bring the people in. Someone that's looking for a ball python can actually be sold on a corn snake, can be sold on a Dumerose monitor. I'm just talking about snake people. They could be sold on a false cobra. They could be sold on a king snake. They could be sold on a garter snake. They could be sold on a rat, a bull snake. They could, I mean, definitely the rat snakes are definitely pretty. They could be sold on a Burmese python if they have the room. They could be sold on a reticulated python, a green or yellow anaconda. I mean, you just name it, but something has to get people through the door, right? So the way that I look at it is, you know, before anything else, and I'm just talking numbers first, I'm gonna show you some snakes. You know, it'll be clips of snakes in between, but what's the #1 mid-size selling truck? I mean, in the US, let's just talk about the US. The #1 selling mid-size truck in the US for the 2023 calendar year from January to December is a Toyota Tacoma. That's regardless of the trim package you get, or 2-wheel or 4-wheel, or 5-foot bed or 6-foot bed. They sold 768 of those tacos. And that's what Tacomas are called, tacos. So, and I like tacos, I drive one. But the #2 selling truck, mid-size, is the Chevrolet Colorado. They sold 71,081. That's a huge drop. I mean, so if people are thinking about mid-sized trucks, they're automatically thinking Tacoma first. Because when you drive down the street, you see them everywhere. But that doesn't make people not want another mid-sized truck, a Colorado, or whatever they would choose, you know. Nissan has one. I mean, you got Ford has the Ranger. I mean, there's a lot of different trucks out there that people actually buy. But the number one thing they're going to think about when the reptile shows is a ball python. The number one thing they're going to think about mid-sized trucks is a Toyota Tacoma. Now, I was thinking about full-size trucks. Now, the Chevy Silverado was the king. I mean, it took the lion's share of everything. And I don't have the exact numbers for that, but I'm pretty sure you can look it up. Then where I got those figures from were autoblog.com and carfigures.com. And of course, the figures for the ball pythons were on Morph Market from today, January the 8th, 2024, even though this video won't come out until next week or the week after or something. I don't know. But anyway, so my thoughts on breeding ball pythons. So the first thing is that there are a lot of ball pythons. I think everybody knows that. And it's not the fact that there are a lot of ball pythons, and this is for everybody, breeders as well as those pet enthusiasts that are just requiring for just keeping, because we're all just keeping ball pythons. And the thing that I noticed coming from a sales background and actually trying to find niches is that when I go from table to table to table, I can already tell when those breeders started. So if they have spider, if they have a lot of single gene animals, pods, and it looks like they're just having these animals and they're breeding them, which is fine. But as I go from table to table, the amount of variability is very slim. Now, I also did a sub-analysis on those that I feel are successful, those that seem like they move snakes, and they even price snakes seemingly a little bit higher. And what I noticed is a greater variability in the pattern morphs from their tables to the other tables that surround them. And, so like my girl says, $1,000 snake is still just a snake. And to me, I might see something different, but that's because it's my joy, it's my passion. But for her, it's kind of like she likes them, but not enough to be able to try to tell the difference between a $100 snake. Or no, she can tell that. Now she can tell that. So from a $800 snake to a $1,500 snake or a $2,000 snake or a $3,000 snake. And I know that those are different groups, pet, entry-level breeder and higher-level breeder. But either way, she is a layperson, can I tell? I don't think she ever will, because her passion is in the grandkids and in the babies. I mean, you got to have someone with the passion of babies, which I do too. But I got a split decision with these snakes, and I got to care for them. But anyway. So ball pythons make up the majority of the market, and I just think that there needs to be greater variability. So how can that be done? Well, you can do it, I feel like for us, we can do it one or two ways. We can either, one, make hets of animals that we want from like single gene to single gene, like single gene incomplete dominant with a single gene recessive, and pair that with another single gene incomplete dominant, single gene recessive. Whether it's allelic or not doesn't matter. We're just talking about one and one to get some kind of recessive, so that we know that we'd be able to identify those a lot easier. But genetic testing is out now, so our goal is to find the second option, and that is to find the female with the most genes. And I have some here that I'm just going to show you guys. So the first one I'll show you is from Dark Knight Pythons, and it is a pastel orange dream, yellow belly, lesser spot nose, pinstripe, possible leopard clown. But you see that this is a clown. So in this animal, you see that how many genes it has pastel, orange dream, yellow belly, lesser spot nose, pinstripe, and some kind of clown. So at least 7 possible genes that you have. So if no matter what, when you pair that animal up, you're going to get a lot of different types of animals. Now you might get 1, you might get 2 or 3 that are the exact same, but this gives you the greatest amount of pattern diversity that you can get. Now the next one that I'll use is from Kinova. So if I use this one, and I'm not saying whether these snakes are still on the market. Look at their pages, definitely. I encourage you to look at all of these breeders' pages and see. But this one is an inchy, lesser, yellow belly leopard, and it's triple het for hypo, clown, and pot. Another 7 gene animals. So no matter what, you're getting 4 incomplete dominants and 3 het recessives for the snake, and it's very moderately priced. I'm not going to even say the price, but it's ridiculous that it's still on the market. In fact, when we were looking, I was like, man, we should really get this snake. But of course, our thing that we're doing, our business plan, wouldn't allow me to do it. So that's the one from Kinova. Let me show you guys another one. And this snake is really cool. And the fact that it's a black pastel, triple head, clown, genetic stripe, and hypo. So just having that black pastel in it, that will set up your animals differently. So if this is your male or female, then you could actually pair this up with another one of those 7 gene animals that is head for clown and maybe it's head for hypo but not genetic stripe, and you genetic test it, and it could actually still end up triple head for all 3. Plus it has a black pastel mixed in the mix. So this is what I'm saying is, so we can still breed ball pythons, but we just don't have to breed those single to single recessives and incomplete dominant with a recessive, or just an incomplete. I think those days are over. And I mean, it might be a wave. Like if that's your passion, then stick with that. Let's see, we got another one from Bob's Balls. This was one that I wanted to get, but we missed out on. I just studied long, studied wrong, you know what I'm saying? But it's an Orange Dream Lemon Blast, so that's 2. Super inchy, so I'm gonna count that as a solid 3. Yellow Belly Hypo. And so if you say the super inchy, that's guaranteeing everything, the supers. So if you look at the supers, Flawless did a great vlog on supers. So if you have to invest, get the super form, you know, and I watch everybody's videos, but I definitely watch theirs. And Will was talking about how, you know, if you get a visual recessive, you have a super form. And then if you get an incomplete dominant, that's super like inchy or yellow belly, which would exhibit in ivory, that shoots off basically the 2 copies, or basically guarantees that your animal gets the 2 copies that it needs to become a yellow belly, almost guaranteeing an inchy, or, you know, at least it'll be head for clown. If you breed it with another one, that's how you get the visuals. So I think that that's a very good way to do it. If you still want to breed ball pythons and stay small, and just make sure that you're not getting the high number of clutches with the option 1, and then going with option 2, which gives you greater pattern diversity, and it gives you a smaller number of clutches to care for. Because if you're just stuck with these animals, not to say that you don't love them, but there is a cost to taking care of these animals. And until this market changes, what we're doing over here at Spheric Reptiles is kind of what I would imagine that everybody else is doing, and just hyper focusing on the animals that we want to produce, that we're just really passionate about, and just rocking with that until we roll up out of this. But at least that way, we also get a little bit more but we get a little bit more pattern diversity on the tables at the shows. And so when people look at your page, they see something completely different. Guys, I hope this message came off well, like I intended it to. I love ball pythons. They're the ones that drove me to the shows. I mean, because the other animals I know are there, but it's good to see how people can come up with different morphs, as, you know, when you look at the tables and see what their passion is for each project. So I love this industry. And I mean, it's a great hobby industry to be in, and people can make money from it. But if nothing else, guys, I thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, enjoy your time with your reptiles and enjoy your time with your family. Thank you.